Welcome to Felony Friday, a presentation of the Lions of Liberty podcast. Here is your host, John Odermatt.
Felons, friends, and freedom lovers, welcome back to another edition of Felony Friday right here on the Lions of Liberty podcast. Each and every week on Felony Friday, we shine a light on a broken aspect of the criminal justice system. And on today's show, this is actually part 2 of last week's show, and this is part 2 of my interview with Anwar Shabazz. I will link to part 1, of course, in the show notes, and I really do encourage everyone to check that out. But I'll give you a quick summary. In part 1, we really talked about the circumstances that led Anwar into making some questionable choices. You are not going to want to miss this story. It involves everything from some predatory lending from Lehman Brothers, which led him to putting himself in a position where he took on more debt than he could handle on a purchase of a building, with Lehman Brothers loaning him money they never should have loaned him, and put him in a position where he turned to selling drugs, which ultimately led the FBI to knocking on his door one day. Now, unfortunately, Anwar is going to be facing some prison time for his actions. This interview was actually recorded while he was awaiting sentencing. You aren't going to want to miss, though, as he talks about at the end of this episode today, the actions that he's taking while he's awaiting sentencing and the positive outlook he has on life. I just want to let you guys know of a way that you can help out the Lions of Liberty podcast, a way that you can support the show and help to spread the message of liberty. You can do this by visiting igniteliberty.us. Visit this site, and you can find at this site a Make Liberty Great Again snapback hat. And we have an exclusive deal for Lions of Liberty podcast listeners. Enter the discount code LIBERTY at checkout for 10% off your order. A large portion of the profits from your order will go right back into this podcast. So if you've been looking for a way to help out this podcast, this is the way to do it, and we would really, really appreciate it. We have 2 different designs that we're offering of the hat. We have a design, a very cool design, circular kind of retro logo design, Make Liberty Great Again. Kind of looks like almost like a retro beer label, really cool design. The other design, Make Liberty Great Again, features the Statue of Liberty. Very cool design also. These are bold, eye-catching hats, and you will not regret picking them up. They're conversation starters, and if you're looking for a way to wear the ideas of liberty, this is the way to do it. Let people know where you stand. Let people know that you stand for liberty. And help out the Lions of Liberty podcast at the same time. So please, don't hesitate. Stop by igniteliberty.us. Pick out your favorite design, enter promo code LIBERTY at checkout, and be on your way. This is the 37th episode of Felony Friday, so you know that means you can find the show notes for this episode at lionsofliberty.com/FF37. You'll find links and notes to everything that we're going to talk about today. So I hope you enjoy part 2 of my conversation with Anwar Shabazz. So what happens from there? This is, you open your first store in what year again?
First store was in 2002. I was 20 years old. And then in 2006 is when I opened up the music spot. Is why I called it that and not the basement, was because the music spot was more of a kiosk, like a little stand in the shopping mall. And that's where we would just sell only CDs, DVDs, and T-shirts. I didn't sell any like art supplies or anything like that. It was mainly music. It was mainly CDs and DVDs.
Okay, so, and at this time, 2006, 2007, the economy starts to, I guess, tilt a little bit in 2007 and into 2008 and on from there. But it was going pretty well up until that point.
Yeah.
So you were probably enjoying the growth, enjoying the good economy. So when the economy changed, is that where did you start to get some pressure on yourself there?
Absolutely. So that's why me and you are talking now, because this is where, I started making these bad decisions. So in 2006, at this point, I'm still living in my parents' house, and I'm feeling a certain way. Like, okay, I'm 4 or 5 years into it. What am I doing? I'm still living at my mom's house. That kind of like was a reflection of how successful I was really, and that really bothered me. And again, I was really building my personal credit was skyrocketed by then. I'm 25 years old, and my credit is like almost 10 years old. So that says a lot with the credit bureaus, as well as I didn't even know at the time, but I had established business credit. And that's another way of having credit in the credit line. And, me getting a Dun and Bradstreet number and me having an Experian business credit profile. And I'm learning all this as I go. And I'm basically golden at the looks of a banker. And, at that time, they were giving loans out to everyone. And I'm talking about not even just for mortgages. Like I was getting, credit cards from Citibank, Washington Mutual, and all these other banks that are obviously not around anymore because of this. So in 2006, right when I opened up my second building, right when I opened up my second business, which is the music spot, I called a mortgage specialist and I told her what I wanted. And what I really wanted to do was move my store into a better location because the location that I was in was kind of dying down and I didn't really see any growth. On top of the no growth, the music industry was going down. Not only did we see that economy about to tank, but my specific industry, which was music, was a very slow and dying business. So I had to think fast in a way because I was scared. I said, hey, I built my business for the last 4 or 5 years. I'm still living at my mom's. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, things are steady. Don't get me wrong. Things are steady. My credit's great. But what's the next step? And I said, okay, well, I need to buy a condo. I need to move out. So I did that right away because with a condo, I was still at this shop with this business that was getting ready to die very, very soon. So I decided to rebrand my business and transition it from a music store, music meaning DVDs, CDs, vinyl, transition it to more of a fashion-based lifestyle store. And I would want to move it into a more of a high traffic area and make it so it's not a music store anymore, where it's more of a clothing store. And, clothing and, I to add more accessories to it. I wanted to add like skateboards in there, continue my art supplies, just a very like hip kind of shop and a very different kind of shop, but definitely moving away from the music being 75% of the business to, making it 25 and more of an accessory, similar to what Best Buy and Target does. Is they don't make any money on the music, but they just sell music so the people can come in and buy, appliances and whatever else they might have at their store. So, and that was another business that was killing us, was the box stores that were selling CDs for $9.99. We were buying them wholesale for like $12.99, $12.40, and those kinds of price points. So, if I would have stayed in the music business, I would have definitely went under very fast. So, long story short, the lady comes back to me, the mortgage person, and she says, "Hey, we got you approved." She's like, "Yeah, just let me know what you want and we'll get it for you." And then I go around these neighborhoods like Wicker Park, Lincoln Park, Roscoe Village, just all these areas in Chicago where I think this store would do good. And lo and behold, I see this building and it was a mixed use property. It was an apartment upstairs and a storefront downstairs. So I was like, wow. It said it's for sale by owner. I looked at it the next day, and even though it needed a lot of work, I said I really want it because I was moving out of my house, so I'm getting a piece of a place where I can live, and downstairs I can put my business, which I want to move anyway, so I can make that transition from being a music store to being more of a clothing store. That's when I meet our good friends at Lehman Brothers, and talk to the guy. He's a very aggressive guy. He's very salesman-like, very pushy, but really cocky type of guy. And remember, this is 2006 when all these guys, they got boats, they have multiple houses. These guys are rich. These guys are getting these loans. I have no idea. I'm a 25-year-old kid. I'm like, I just want some property. Like, I can't believe I'm about to have some property. Like, wow, this is amazing.
Right.
There's a lot more to it, but they give me we decided on a price for $500,000 for the building. I still don't have liquid cash, but here comes Washington Mutual. They gave me $50,000 just for a line of credit. And Lehman Brothers said, "Hey, we need 10% down. It's usually 20% down, but we'll cut you a break this time and just give me 10%. So that was 50,000. And I was thinking in my head, well, I don't have 50,000, but Washington Mutual has it for me and I can use it anytime. So I said, yeah, okay, I'll give you guys 10%. So we whooped out the contract, gave them that 50,000, and then they signed a loan to me for $450,000 in November of 2009. I'm sorry, 2006.
Wow. Yes, this is such an interesting story because it ties together with so many aspects that we talk about on this show. We talk about, government intervention in the economy, the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates, manipulating interest rates, which allowed these banks, investment banks like Lehman Brothers, to prey on people. Really, that's what they did, taking advantage of people. And legislators as well, writing laws that incentivized these banks to do that, to take advantage of people. And unfortunately, they put you in a pretty bad situation with that loan. What was your monthly mortgage payment there?
That's a good question. Yeah, I feel like it's definitely all relatable. And my situation is different, but I think it speaks to two different people, which we'll get into later. But yeah, so my mortgage total at the time with taxes and insurance was like $3,800. Now, mind you, I'm paying, when I first opened my store in Rogers Park, I was paying $650 a month for rent. And then this new landlord came, he bought the building, then he raised it from $650 to $900. So that was the only like big spike. I mean, so now I'm at $900, and then the Lincolnwood store is $1,500 for the stand. And then now I took on this. So this is me biting more than I can chew again. And just talking about it makes me realize, like, nobody was there to tell me to calm the hell down and what the hell are you doing? And at this point, I have no mentor. I have, I'm a college dropout. I don't even think I graduated high school at this point. So I'm just riding the wave and just studying business books. I'm reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm reading Cash Flow Quadrant, another from Robert Kiyosaki. I'm reading books by Donald Trump. I'm reading Tony Robbins. These are all my mentors because I don't have anybody that can mentor me at this point. And believe it or not, they got me through a lot of things. Me riding around, listening to audiobooks when people think I'm listening to like hip hop music. I'm listening to all these books on audio because I don't have time to read because I'm doing these businesses. So yeah, that's 2006. And I get this loan. And so now I have 3 stores. And as soon as I sign, I'm happy. But at the same time, I'm like, what the hell did I just do? Because at the end of the day, I wasn't a dumb kid because I had a plan, but the plan didn't go as planned. For one thing, Lehman Brothers put me in a position where at the time, the person that I purchased the building from, they had already been talking to somebody else regarding the building. Now, the owner, mind you, he's in Puerto Rico, so he's not even here. So I'm dealing with his cousin that's showing me around. So when I first seen the place, it was in pretty good shape. It needed some paint work. It needed like some minor cosmetic things. That was the main reason why I bought the building, because I didn't really need to do much. So the key component to this whole story and why this happened to me, and I'm not putting blame into anyone or, because I take full responsibility for my actions, but this was the cause of why it happened, was the people that were in negotiations with the property owner, they had went in without me knowing, and they gutted the entire place. Okay, now this is without having a contract, having anything in writing or nothing. They just talked to the guy that agreed to sell it to me, and they left this place unusable. This used to be a liquor store. So they took all the refrigerators, they dismantled the place, they broke everything down. Everything was everywhere. And when Lehman Brothers sent their inspector to look at the property, they said, no, we cannot give you this loan, and I'm already in like all this money and time. But the thing is, and I look back talking about it and look back, I still could have pulled away if I wanted to. But me being I wouldn't say ambitious, but me being just so like
hard-headed, maybe.
Yeah, hard-headed. Yeah, hard-headed to just say, no, this is my building. Well, what, why are these? And I called the owner right away. I said, why are these guys in this place? Me and you have a deal. What are you doing? And then he said the same thing. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Like, call my cousin, call the police. I don't know why they're there. And, it was a big deal. And I'm like, well, I don't care. I think at that time I didn't agree to 500. But at that point I said, I'm going to buy this for 500,000. I'm offering you 500,000. Okay. You better tell your guys to get out of there. And then that's when he did. Something happened where it was settled that it was 500,000 that I was going to pay him. And then they got out of there. But the Lehman Brothers were still not convinced. They said, hey, you have to turn this into a vanilla box. Basically, what that means is it has to be basically ready to be operated on as the business that I had, which is a retail store. It was technically a small business loan. Not only was it a commercial loan, but it was a small business loan. And they said, we cannot give you the loan until this is a vanilla box. So going back to what I was saying is, I did my plan. I had a plan, but this kind of threw everything off. Now, I had gotten $35,000 from National City Bank, which is now PNC Bank. But with that money, I was supposed to buy my inventory for my store. Now, instead of having that for my inventory for my store, I'm using that to fix all the mess that the old owner did and to make Lehman Brothers happy and to make that vanilla box so I can, run my business. So I hired this guy, Joe Schmo, that does drywall, and this guy that does HVAC stuff. And I ended up blowing that $35,000 very fast. Long story short, they do get it to the point where Lehman Brothers said, hey, okay, now it's a vanilla box. Here goes your loan. So that's one part I didn't put into it before, but that's the key component on why everything went downhill. Because now I'm $50,000 in debt for Washington Mutual and $35,000 for National City, just like that, without even opening the doors. And I'm 25 years old and I still have 2 other stores and I'm by myself. So again, no excuses at all. But this is me being hard-headed and saying, hey, just let's make it happen. Let's just keep it going. So
Anwar, all this pressure on you, you're in this situation, partly your fault, partly not your fault, partly the situation with the economy. Anyway, it is what it is. What happens that ultimately leads you to making a decision or a series of decisions that lead to the FBI knocking on your door?
Okay, at this point, I had 3 stores. I end up closing my first one. And then the second one, I end up selling to someone which never even paid me the money. So now I'm done to 1 store. It's 2008. And the pressure's coming in. I'm running out of credit. I'm running out of credit because I used all of my other credit cards to post my inventory because I used my main inventory budget to fix up, the place for Lehman Brothers. So, as I'm sitting here thinking what to do at this point, I'm at my store and I don't know what to do. I'm very scared. My parents are losing their house that my dad bought, with his medallion money. So they're losing their house. I'm about to lose mine because I'm behind my mortgage like 2 months. And I'm in bad shape. Okay. Someone comes into my store. I'm there by myself. And it's one of my friends that I've known growing up. He comes in and he buys about $1,000 worth of stuff. I say, wow, thank you. You don't understand how much this sale is going to help me. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful. And I said, what the hell are you doing? How do you have so much money, man? And he says, hey, man, you know what we're doing. And he's like, if you ever need help, just give me a call. I said, okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, but no thanks. A few months go by and, my friend comes by again. And this time, really in the worst shape that I've ever been in. And one day I just end up, giving him a call, giving him that call and saying to him, please help me, please help me save my business. And It was the worst mistake I ever made in my entire life. I don't know if we could get into it too much, but, that led me to get into the drug trade from what I thought was something very small and victimless, turned out to be a really bad decision. At the time, it was just, marijuana that he had. And I figured, hey, marijuana is legal in a few states. Morally, it's, I was thinking more like that because, being from Chicago, people in this trade, people that are doing it. And even when I had my store from the beginning, people would ask me, hey, are you into like this trade? Are you into this? Do you have any weed? Like, you want to get into it? And I always told people, no, that's whack. Like in the culture, being whack is like, that's not cool. Like we don't need to do that. This is something that we're passionate about. We did the music. This was our way of saying no to that. We don't have to stoop to that level, And one thing that I always kept telling people was, I know I'm not going to get into it. They would ask me why. And I said, because if I do it, I'm going to do it really big. And I don't want to do big because that's going to get me in trouble. And, having said that, that was in 2009. And not even 4 years later, I'm really heavily involved with it. I'm rolling with crews that I would never thought I would be rolling with, and being one day in my house and being with my girlfriend at the time, and 6 a.m, get a knock on the door, and with guns drawn, the FBI was say, freeze, FBI, put your hands up. You have the right to remain silent. And that was like a very, very emotional and just a very, very bad time in my life. But I'll be very honest with you. When that happened, that lifted a lot of things off my shoulders. I'll tell you that, because I knew it was finally over.
Yeah, you had all the pressure from the business on you. And I guess I should say first, to our listeners, Anwar and I talked in the pre-show chat, and there's certain things that with his case still going on, he hasn't been convicted. He's been charged. Is that correct?
I've been convicted.
Oh, you have been?
Yeah, just to give you a little insight. So I've been convicted. Currently, I'm awaiting my sentencing. And, I'm just waiting on the day where I get sentenced. But I signed for a mandatory minimum of 10 years. And, my case, there was marijuana involved. There was cocaine involved. And there was guns found on my case. And when it's a conspiracy charge, it's all for one and one for all. So that being said, if one person gets, charged with or caught with one, we all get charged. And it was 23 people on June 20th, 2013, where all of us were picked up and brought into the federal building in downtown Chicago. And that's where we were given our complaint. And that's where they put all our charges there. But all the information is all, public record. So that's what I can say about the case.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I signed for, was 10-year mandatory minimum. I've never been in jail or never got in trouble in my life. Just that one time with the graffiti stuff when I was a teenager. And it's a pretty serious situation now. So
first of all, I'm sorry to hear that. That is tough. But based on, I'm sure you've talked to your lawyer. Has he given you an idea how much time? I know you say 10 years mandatory minimum, but is there a chance that you'll be able to get out more quickly?
When they took us in 2013 in June, I did about 6 months in there in federal custody. And when I got out, that time that I did, that will be counted towards my whatever sentence that that the judge wants to give me. Or I'm sorry, not that the judge wants to give me, whatever the judge gives me. And from there, we will get time for good time. But with the federal system, it's 85%. So it's about more or less like 2 months per year. So therefore, with the amount of time that I have in already, plus the good time, I'm looking at about maybe 8 years.
Can you talk about, I know, in the beginning of the show, I talked about your blog a little bit, the Fed's watching. And I know you talk about in there about being open, honest, and transparent. What type of things are you doing to keep a positive attitude right now? And on the blog, what's your goal for that blog?
Well, here's the thing. With that blog, it's basically, I had an idea. So I started this nonprofit called Street Dreams Chicago. And it's basically mentoring kids on how to become entrepreneurs, the same way my uncle did for me back before I started mine, but with a little bit more emphasis in financial education and the things that they don't teach us in school. Having said that, I started the Feds Watching for my personal blog where, I can keep in contact with people that want to know about my whereabouts and how, they can write to me or send me things or, mail me letters, and just more on my upkeep on how I'm doing, what I did today, and, just to kind of have a narrative on how I'm doing while I'm doing my time. So that was the main objective for that. Now, I recently just made the decision to just combine the two websites because, first of all, I really grew out of the name of the one that I sent you. So I believe Street Dreams is more of a positive outlook. And like I said, I don't want to talk about or give any excuses on what I did because I take full responsibility on what I did. But if I can change somebody's life with this nonprofit, then, that'll help me more than anything. And especially will occupy my time while I'm in there, creating programs for kids in the inner city and helping people, what I'm doing and what I'm doing to change other people's lives and how to change my life as well, which, I have already did since I told you. Since I've got out in 2014, I changed my life around. I don't talk to any of the people in that world anymore. I got married. I started my own business. Me and my wife, we opened up 2 businesses. I opened up an art gallery. After that, I opened up a scooter rental shop. And my final thing is me and my wife opened up a little hostel business, like a bread and breakfast business. And that's been really taken off and very proud of it as well. So changing my life around, disassociated myself from even my girlfriend that I was with for about 5 years. I just wanted a fresh start, and I just wanted to prove to everyone, but more importantly, myself, that, this is my chance to prove that I am still the same person from the neighborhood that, that did so many great things for the community. They took, a lot of things away from me, but yeah, so they didn't take my integrity. They didn't take my ambition away. So that's what helped me to and inspire me to keep going with the entrepreneurship and to also create this nonprofit organization and to help people overcome the obstacles that I went through and to learn from the mistakes that I went through so they don't have to make the same ones that I did, which, I have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience that the average person doesn't have. And like I said, if one person can learn from me and not take these steps that I did and take the other steps that I should have done, then everyone would be in a better situation right now.
Just a couple notes on that, Anwar. I'm not sure if you've heard the previous podcasts on Lions of Liberty, one back on episode 93 of Mark Claire's show, where he had on Michael Santos. Michael Santos has the Earning Freedom podcast. He's his website, The Prison Professor. He was on Felony Friday back on episode 7. Michael spent, I don't remember off the top of my head how many years in prison. I think it was like 25 years in prison for selling cocaine down in Miami. And while Michael was in prison, he got a college degree. He wrote like 4 or 5 books. He made $1 million on the stock market. Just an incredible guy. And I want to encourage you and encourage anyone else listening that is in a similar situation to Anwar to check out Michael Santos. Google Michael Santos, Prison Professor. Check out his podcasts on Lions of Liberty. And secondly, I just do want to ask you, since you do have, the place where you're in right now, I'm sure there's other people out there who either have been in a similar place or maybe are in a similar place right now, or maybe are doing some of the actions that got you in trouble, who could use your advice. And I just want to ask you if you had any advice for anyone out there who's maybe thinking about selling drugs or has sold drugs or just thinking about breaking the law in another way. And, on this show, we talk about often how we are opposed to the drug war, how the war on drugs is immoral, and the government has no right to tell you what you can or can't put in your body. But with that being said, it is illegal, and there are consequences to it. So obviously, if you get caught, you're going to pay the consequences, which unfortunately is what's happening to you, Anwar. So can you just give some advice to anyone out there who is in that position?
Definitely. And that's what I always say too, even though morally I felt it was something that, wasn't hurting anyone. But the fact of the matter is, not only is it hurting the people that abuse it, but, I have hurt so many people, because this happened to me, not only my family, but people that looked up to me, people that I mentored throughout the years, which I still mentor throughout this day. So my advice to someone that wants to get into it, you need to really talk to people that are already into it and realize that it's not all fun and games. Anyone will tell you that's in it that, hey, it's a lot of money being made out there, but at the same time, there's a lot of risk and there's a lot of violence that comes with it, and what I would say, hey, get educated. Why are you doing it? How much money are you going to make? If you want to be specific, like you want to make 100,000 on selling some weed. Okay, well, let's backtrack and say, all right, well, if you really want to make $100,000, let's just cut it off right there. And then let's figure out a way to make $100,000 without selling anything illegal. And let's formulate a plan, together. And this is what we do at Street Dreams, is we find solutions. We find the problem. Okay, you're broke. We get it. We know that it's hard out there. Trust me, I went through it. But you don't have to sell anything illegal. You don't have to do anything illegal, do any kind of scam or any kind of, credit card fraud or mortgage fraud, because at the end of the day, these people have unlimited resources and they're going to get you, whether it's, in a week, whether it's in a year, whether it's 10 years. But, there's so many ways to do it. And there's so many ways to make money. And it's all out there for us to have. The knowledge is free. So that's what I would say to people that are trying to get into it. I know it's hard, and that's why they're looking into it, because, they can't pay their mortgage, their rent, their refrigerator's empty. But look for the solution. Don't think that's the only thing that's out there. There's many, many things out there. Drugs just happens to be the one that we're exposed to. But that doesn't mean that's the only thing out there. There's anywhere from, especially nowadays, in this tech boom, there's so many things you could do, from drive Uber to, be a handyman. I mean, the possibilities are endless, especially right now. This isn't the 80s and 90s where we didn't really have too many things. A lot of people, they're blessed. We're kind of in the gold rush right now. So just be smart and look at your options, because that is one option. And believe me, I know that is an option, but it's not an only option, and it's the option that'll get you in trouble. So why don't you just keep those options far down the list? Focus on the ones that are positive and that are realistic as well. Get some mentors. See how you can get a mentor or something. We'll be happy to mentor anyone out there that wants to just talk. It's all for free, and it's all just to give back.
That's great advice, Anwar. I want to thank you once again for coming on the show. I want to wish you the best of luck going forward, going into prison. I know that you have, just speaking with you now for the past over an hour now, I know you have the mindset that you'll make it out, and you will even find success in prison and after prison. So I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Wow. What an incredible interview with Anwar Shabazz. I'm so thankful that Anwar had the courage to come on this show and share his story from beginning to end. Hopefully, to allow others to learn from his story so they are not put in a similar situation that he finds himself in right now, awaiting sentencing and likely spending 8 to 10 years in prison. Now, I'm thankful that Anwar reached out to me. He actually sent me an email. He mentioned that his brother was listening to Felony Friday, and Anwar sent an email to me and asked he wanted to come on the show. And I'm really happy he decided to do that, because I think his story is very important. I'm hopeful that his story prevents others, like I said, from making similar mistakes. And also, I think it's an important talking point here an important libertarian talking point to hit on. There are a lot of libertarians out there who will say when they hear a story like Anwar's, "But John, why are you calling these mistakes? Why are you saying Anwar made mistakes? He didn't hurt anyone. He certainly didn't steal any property. All the transactions were consensual." And that's absolutely true. All true. I have no problem with any of that. But we have to remember the reality of what we live in today, the reality of the society that we live in today. And the society we live in today penalizes the selling of drugs harshly. It's not as bad as it was. It's getting a little bit better, but it's a very real consequence for selling any illicit drug. And Anwar mentioned that he was caught for selling marijuana, cocaine, and there were gun charges as well. And the amount of people involved, there was a conspiracy charge. These charges are out there. And if you get caught breaking the law, you're going to pay the consequences. This is why I would never advise anyone to sell drugs, to break the law. I would never say that's a good way to make money, to do that. The risk is just simply too much. This is why I think it's so awesome what Anwar is doing with Street Dreams. He is finding kids on the street who want to make money, who are in a tough position, who maybe don't have the opportunities. They don't have an opportunity even to get an education, even to get a high school education that would allow them to go to college. They would even learn how to manage their funds to even start their own business. Anwar is teaching them how to do that. He's asking them, what do you want in life? How much money do you want to make? Where when they come in and they meet Anwar, the only thing they know is how to make that money is by selling drugs, and he's teaching them, let's start a business. Let's work within the model of what we have in society today. And that's important. I think that's very important. And you know what? I really, really wish that Anwar could keep doing that full time. He could keep teaching kids how to become entrepreneurs, keep teaching kids how to create value, rather than going to spend the next 8 to 10 years in prison. Now, I know he's going to continue to work on Street Dreams from prison, but I would much rather, obviously, as I'm sure you would, as I'm sure the Felony Fridays listeners would agree with me, that you would rather see Anwar out of prison as well. And I'm happy that he came on the show. I wish Anwar the best. I'll try to keep in touch with him and keep you guys aware of his developing situation and sentencing. So, guys, with that being said, you've listened to now 2 parts of this. I hope you enjoyed the show. I really learned a lot from Anwar, and I really did enjoy my conversation with him. If you enjoyed it too, please, you can share it on Facebook, Twitter. Easy way to do that. Follow the Lions of Liberty on Facebook and Twitter. Just share what we send out. If you haven't joined our private Facebook group, the Lions of Liberty Forum, I really want to encourage you to do that. We have great conversations at the Lions of Liberty Forum every single day with new people contributing and great ideas, great conversations, great environment too. There's very little condescending talk or hurtful exchanges like you would normally see on the internet. People are respectful. So check that out. Go to Facebook, type Lions of Liberty Forum in the search bar. It'll pop right up and we will get you approved as quick as we can. I don't want to take much more time from you. I just want to let you know of one more way you can help the show. You can help Lions of Liberty. Go to igniteliberty.us. Check out our Make Liberty Great Again hats. 2 different designs, 2 very cool designs, 2 eye-catching designs. And people see the Make Liberty Great and they think, wait a minute, is that a Trump hat? No, it's Liberty, not America. What's that about? Why do you want to make Liberty great? It's a great conversation starter. It's not meant to be all-encompassing. It's not a thesis statement. It's to catch an eye, to start a conversation, and to hopefully change some minds. So please, think about getting a Make Liberty Great Again hat. Go to igniteliberty.us, type in promo code LIBERTY, check out, and you'll get 10% off, and those profits will go right back in to the Lions of Liberty podcast. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for listening, guys. As always, this is John Odermatt signing off. Always remember to keep your head up and the fires of liberty burning.